and welcome to Focus Asia, Star World's new one-hour current affairs program, bringing you in-depth stories and interviews from around the region. I'm Susan Yu. For those of us who live in cities and urban areas, it's perhaps difficult to imagine life without access to a doctor or regular health care. Now, that's a reality, however, for millions across Asia who must treat themselves with over-the-counter drugs if they get sick. But a huge black market in fake medicine means the sick are being put at greater risk, sometimes with deadly consequences.
Once I had some teeth problems and I took some medicine from a shop. I got a very bad reaction and started to have swelling and boils all over my body.
New Delhi resident Durga Prasad is a casualty of a growing trend in Asia, counterfeit drugs.
Certainly a problem in Asia, and it is an issue that has captured the attention of the World Health Organization and its member states.
5% of medicines in the world are fake, but in Asia, the figure is double. Contaminated cough syrup has killed at least 500 people worldwide in the past 15 years. And cough medicine thought to have originated in Dalian, China, killed more than 80 children in Haiti in 1996. And the year before, vaccines filled with salt water eventually led to 300 villagers in Nigeria contracting and dying of meningitis. 60 others were handicapped for life. Authorities say that shipment of fake medicine also came from China.
It doesn't seem to be going away, put it this way. And occasionally there are episodes that, especially in China, where people are found with huge quantity of counterfeits.
China's health ministry announced a few months ago a crackdown on substandard and fake drugs. Out of the 1,100 products inspected, 12% were found to be substandard, while 4% were counterfeit with pirated registration numbers. But industry observers tell us the numbers are much higher.
The rules of regulation in China is very strict, even more strict than the US. But the trouble is that they don't have a system. The superstructure is not very, so to speak, very properly managed. And that's why they have so-called back doors.
Are these all legitimate? Are all of these medicines legitimate?
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Andrea practices for her bat mitzvah ceremony. Rabbi Shalom Greenberg watches over Andrea and over the present-day Jewish community in Shanghai, numbering about 250, mostly made up of businessmen.
Welcome. This is a historic place for us in a good memory. Most of the places where Jews went around the world, unfortunately, they have bad memories of the place because they were either persecuted over there or suffered from one way or another. Shanghai is remembered very favorably.
Today, the candles are lit for the blessings of life, appropriate in a city which yesterday was the only place to escape death. A reign of Nazi terror during World War II. From 1933 to 1941, approximately 30,000 Jews, mainly from Europe, fled to Shanghai. As a free port, Shanghai was the only city in the world to open its doors to the Jewish refugees, allowing them entry without visas and therefore a chance to live. It was an opportunity the Shanghai Jews would not waste, developing their own communities, clubs, and families, while also learning how to do things the Chinese way. When Shanghai came under Japanese rule, Japanese authorities even ignored the Nazis' final solution plan to kill all Jews. Instead, in 1942, they ordered them to move into a designated area for stateless refugees, a ghetto in the district known as Hongkou. After World War II, the Shanghai Jews began immigrating abroad. And by the time of the Cultural Revolution during the 1960s, nearly all had gone. This is the Hongkou district today, and the house.
We have arrived in Battambang, a province in northwest Cambodia that was once the stronghold of the brutal Khmer Rouge. Many of the regime's former soldiers still reside here, some living freely among their victims. But they are no longer a threat. We have been brought here, along with a government official, to see today's more menacing killer. This 35-year-old man and his family are the latest casualties.
For the past month, he has not been able to leave the bed. Yeah. They used to live over there, but they sold the land to take care of him.
Rim Neek is dying of AIDS. His wife and infant daughter are living with it. Only his mother remains uninfected. But the disease has taken its toll. The 65-year-old widow is bankrupt and nearly homeless. She quit her job and sold her land to keep her dying family alive. In a culture where the young look after the old, AIDS has reversed the order.
I don't have any income. I cannot leave the house. I have to take care of my son all day. In the past few months, I have not even had time to go to the pagoda. I'm worried about my granddaughter. I'm doing anything possible to keep her alive.
If Un's granddaughter lives, she will join the thousands of other children in Cambodia being orphaned by AIDS. In this village alone, some 90 children will lose their parents to the disease.
It is estimated that 1 out of every 20 children born in Cambodia today is HIV positive. Yet in this pediatric ward of a government-run hospital, all the beds remain empty. Not surprising, considering annual government spending on health care amounts to $1 per person.
The wheels of commerce are spinning in the village of Gonakbari. Rabia Begum started this tiny weaving company only a couple years ago. The mother of four is turning a profit she never dreamed of when her family was only farming rice.
Before we were barely getting by, but thankfully now we've got enough to eat.
The change was only possible because Rabia got a break from her bank.
I wouldn't have been able to do this without getting some loans. I just didn't have the money to get started buying looms and supplies or paying the first wages for the workers.
A $200 loan was all it took to get business rolling. Now Rabia has several weavers on her payroll, each earning about 300 taka or $6 a week. But this is only one of many similar successes made possible by a bank that believes that small beginnings can loom large one day.
Poor people are creditworthy. Banking can be done in a much more different way than it's being done.
Grameen Bank's founder is a former economics professor who refused to believe that poor people are bad credit risks.
I've been saying that banking or credit should be accepted as a human right. People, everybody has a right to access to financial resources so that they can make a start for themselves.
Telecommunications loans are the newest frontier for members, and it's proving to be quite lucrative for some. Hawa Begum and her family, for example, recently used a loan to buy one of 4 mobile phones in a community of about 12,000 people. It used to be you'd have to travel more than an hour to place a call. Hawa's brother and her husband are her business partners, but the loan is in her name.
Before, the only work I could get was making bamboo baskets at home. We were very poor.
Our call was their first to Hong Kong, but overseas calls are not unusual with nearly 500,000 Bangladeshis working abroad.
Getting ready for surgery at the Phuket International Hospital. The patient is Nora Kress. The surgeon who'll be performing this morning, Dr. Sanwan Kunaporn. And the operation, SRS, Sexual Reassignment Surgery. To you and me, a sex change.
This will finally bring my mind and my body into sync.
Nora Kress used to be a man. This is the final operation in a life-changing procedure. As Nora told us before surgery, it will also be life-saving.
So I tried to live as male up until I was in my early to mid-30s. But I'd fought depression from my early 20s and considered suicide for many, many years.
This was Nora back in those depression years, living in North Carolina and working as a coal miner for 22 years, married with a child.
Some patients suffer for 60 years before they had the reassignment surgery. They said that they want to be at least 1 or 2 years before they leave this world in the gender that they need.
I will finally be at the end of my journey when I get to this. I can live life as I've always felt like I should. I'm relieved.
The price tag for replacing the male organ with a fully functioning female one, $6,000 US, about a third of the price you'd pay in the United States. It's now 11:30 in the morning and the operation is nearly complete. For Nora, it's the end of a long journey. Since childhood, she's known she's been a woman in mind. From today, she's a woman in body too.
On the edges of the stunningly beautiful Lugu Lake, the Morswa people have lived for over 1,000 years. Their unchanging lives unique among China's scores of tribal minorities. They are a truly matriarchal society. The oldest woman heads the household of the Morswa's extended family. Property is handed down through the female line. And in this community, the idea of a man and wife living together in the same house as their children is an alien concept. The Morswas enjoy what they call a walking marriage. As I sit with some of the ladies of Lugu, I'm introduced to the ways in which they tell a man he's attracted their interest. For the Morswa, such a gesture can be of the most intimate significance.
Men must leave their women before sunrise. I don't want him to stay longer. That's our way.
And if all goes well and marriage should follow, the new husband stays at home with his mum. Betrothal gives only visiting rights.
The men have nothing to do with their wife's family. We sisters and brothers live together.
The men of the Morswa are happy enough with the way it works. They woo their women in the way men do, never expecting to win control of the purse strings.
Physically, this is a crippled presidency. Guzdor's wife is also disabled, losing the use of her legs following a car crash in 1993.
The two of you as a family have overcome enormous obstacles that other families would have found very difficult to overcome.
That's the perfect family.
Sorry?
The perfect family.
The perfect family. Are you able to joke about it?
Yeah. We joke always, me and my wife.
We got to learn more about what makes Guzdor laugh when Star TV became the first foreign television network to accompany an Indonesian president overseas.
Indonesian 1, flight level 3990.
We were on board flight GA01, Indonesia's equivalent of Air Force One, and where the usual in-flight rules don't apply. Former President Suharto rarely ventured outside the country, yet after 8 months in office, Mr. Wahid's on his third round-the-world tour, with an itinerary that's almost as eclectic as his taste in music. They don't get too many Indonesians, let alone Indonesian presidents, in Branson, Missouri. But then Guzdor is not exactly your typical president. And besides, he shares the local passion for country and western music. even if his hosts don't share a passion for Indonesian names.
And his lovely First Lady and his foreign minister is here. Let me get it out.
But there's no country and Western music here. This is Tehran, capital of the Islamic Republic of Iran, a country America has called a rogue state, and still one that many governments prefer to keep at arm's length. A few days earlier, he'd been in the heartland of America's Bible Belt. Today, it was the Quran Belt. For a man under pressure, he's remarkably carefree and seems to have a joke for every occasion.
The problem now is that I remember jokes easier than serious things. That's the problem always.
Apart from cracking jokes and leading Indonesia, his other great passion is music. On this trip, his CD selections included Beethoven, Linda Ronstadt, and his favorite, Janis Joplin.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all drive Porsches, I must make amends. Worked hard all my lifetime, no help from my friends. So, oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz?